This is Limelight America. Here's your host, Michael Drew Shaw.
Thank you, Lynette, and welcome to Limelight America, where we present one-on-one personal conversations with interesting people from all walks of life. These up-close encounters with people of the fascinating and inspiring kind include business, entertainment, sports, and artistic entrepreneurs, scholars, role models, and philanthropists who impact the quality of life for us all. For our national radio series, we use a careful blend of topics that include a wide variety of businesses and individuals of all ages, past and present. But there is something especially interesting about early dream warriors who worked alone or with small, loosely organized groups of like-minded people before Madison Avenue decreed that brands named after people lacked market appeal. Products bearing the names of their creators have become a rarity, although they do appear from time to time. Orville Redenbacher, for example. Milton Bradley, Joseph Vlasic, Fred Maytag, Mary Kay Ash, and Dr. Julius Ben Gay. Wayne Ford was in 8th grade when a teacher asked the class to write their obituaries. He said he'd be in politics and in charge of a community center. Ford went on to get into trouble in high school, doing drugs and breaking into apartments. To get away, he accepted a football scholarship to a nearly all-white college. Racism threatened to throw him off course. Instead, he turned his anger to activism. Ford devoted himself to academics. History especially gave him a new perspective. Today, he's living the dream he had as a boy. He is the only black member of the Iowa State Legislature and the founder of Urban Dreams, a nonprofit community program for at-risk youth. Born in Vermont, Henry Lee wandered the country into his 20s until he finally settled down in Galion, Ohio in 1887. For the next 50 years, he sold everything from kerosene to overalls. His rugged apparel was a big seller out west, but he was tired of waiting for orders to be filled by his eastern suppliers, so Henry became his own manufacturer. The year was 1911. Lee was in his late 60s. By 1916, he had 4 garment manufacturing plants, and in 1927, Lee Jeans made a major breakthrough when the company introduced the first cowboy pants with a zipper. Sometimes we have to get knocked off of our feet before we realize our true calling. In the case of Kelly Stone, it happened quite literally. A successful businesswoman at 29, she yearned for something more fulfilling and rewarding. Walking home from work one day, she slipped on a flight of stairs and was seriously injured, leading to repeated surgeries and confinement to a wheelchair. Trapped and disabled, she lost all hope. It was then, with the encouragement of her sister, Sharon Stone, that Kelly realized her purpose in life, Planet Hope, an organization devoted to helping troubled women restore their dignity. Helping others is what finally put Kelly Stone back on her own feet.
You're listening to Limelight America.
The car business is the epitome of tough competition. Among suppliers, only the strong and creative survive. In 4 short years, one company lost $7 million in sales and went from 185 to 19 employees when sweeping changes overtook the auto industry. But instead of throwing in the towel, Bob and Paul Reichert chose to take a 25% pay cut, and with their few remaining employees, built a team that focused on quality and innovation. It paid off. Reichert Stamping was awarded Ford's top quality rating, which opened the door to new contracts and drove the company from near bankruptcy to a position as a leader in its industry. talking with Thaddeus Warrow, the author of Radicals and Visionaries. I have to believe you have a couple of favorites.
Growing up seeing I Love Lucy, I always considered Lucy to be a brilliant comedian and Desi just her straight man. Desi was not only an excellent businessman, but he was quite an innovator.
When did you really first come to the realization that you were a star?
Well, not to play a game of semantics with you, I still don't consider myself a, quote, star.
All right, you build companies to sell them. Now, I started out with Chongqing Chinese Foods in 1944, and I sold to R.J. Reynolds Tobacco for $63 million in '67. I have 7 banks because I had to put the money somewhere.
Radio's most talked about talk show, Limelight America with Michael Drew Shaw.
Next, a lesson in online marketing. A chapter from Guerrilla Marketing in 30 Days, Part 1, by Al Lautenschlager. Roger Parker says in relationship marketing on the Internet that information forms the heart and soul of website and Internet marketing success. To succeed, you must provide and continue to provide meaningful content information that will help turn prospects into customers, customers into repeat customers, and repeat customers into ambassadors. Anytime something significant happens in our lives having to do with communication, marketing takes a big leap. Just ask Samuel Morse, the inventor of Morse code for the telegraph. Just ask Bill Gates. Well, in reality, of course, Bill is the only one alive to ask, but you get the point. Electronic communication. Until it reaches maturity, which probably won't be in our lifetimes, business people will be faced with constant change. We will scratch the surface of online marketing and give you some weapons that can be used in an environment undergoing rapid and ongoing change. At the risk of sounding like a gorilla broken record, defining your objectives and having a plan is as important for online marketing as it is for all other marketing. You want a website, but what are you going to do with it? You have email. But do you communicate effectively with it and to the right people? Now make sure you don't try to do too much with your online marketing. Only develop what is pertinent and comfortable for you. Your internet business strategy should be an extension of your company's existing marketing strategy. Never have we been at the point that we are today in using technology in marketing. Let's consider the underlying foundation of online marketing. First, there's traffic. The name of the game in online marketing is to generate visitors to your website. Next, value. Your online presence and other marketing efforts must offer value to attract visitors and to encourage them to return. Then, resource. One goal online is to become a resource for your prospect or your customer. Then, information. You want to be the preferred source of information. Providing information to customers and prospects helps keep you and your business in their minds. And then, of course, there's AIDA again. Just like advertising and printed mail, your job is still to get attention, gain interest, and create desire that leads to action. A website is an address. It's your base. First, you want people to find your house. Then you want them to be welcomed and comfortable enough to stay and chat with you. You want to get to know each other. Once this happens, you want to earn their trust. A website is a tool to interact with a prospect. You want to supply enough information and value so that that prospect will leave their name or return for another visit. Basically, your website should be viewed as an effective and efficient communication tool. Individual website pages allow you to communicate more information than traditional print marketing and for much less cost. Anything you can do to further interactivity in a website will increase its effectiveness. This could include signing up for a newsletter, a free report, or other information. All of this communication can be done without the cost of traditional printing. Websites can displace traditional media advertising, but be careful when evaluating this. You still have to make sure that your target market reads your website as it would read your ads. Search engines are one of the web's major resources for driving qualified, targeted traffic to websites. Getting listed in a search engine is not difficult. Getting ranked high in those listings is the challenge. If a search engine returns 1,100,000 sites for a keyword, chances are that the researcher will not go beyond the top 20 or 40. So you can see, if your site is returned at a ranking of 86,000, chances are good you'll go unnoticed. Getting listed doesn't necessarily mean that you will rank high. Getting registered simply means that the search engine knows your web pages exist. There are many strategies and tactics that will rank your site higher in search engines, but they are beyond the scope of this audiobook. The act of managing the keywords and tags in your website is referred to as search engine optimization. Evaluating this worth compared to the cost of the optimization will determine the feasibility of using this strategy with this weapon. Pay-per-click search engines pay for a particular ranking in search engines. These are a highly effective way to attract cheap, targeted traffic to your site. These search engines connect you with the customers who are searching for what you're selling. Prospects and customers arriving at your site via search engines are highly targeted and usually already motivated to buy. This is the ultimate in target marketing. With a pay-per-click search engine, you pay only when a searcher clicks on your listing and connects to your site. These clicks are also known as click-throughs. You don't pay to list your site. You list your website by selecting keywords that refer to your product or service. For each keyword, you determine how much you are willing to spend. The higher you bid, the higher you will appear in the search results. The higher you bid, the more you will spend upon each click-through to your site. Pay-per-click search engines can be a laser-focused marketing weapon. Converting clicks to paying customers is the key mission. This must be closely monitored so click costs don't exceed your conversion profits. Reciprocal links are another highly successful way to get traffic to your website. Reciprocal links are links with other sites, which are generally related to your business or your organization. The concept is that you put a link to a particular website on your site and vice versa. This method of traffic building is significant, and it's another free marketing weapon. The key is contacting the right types of businesses or organizations and getting the right types of links. Major search engines are now using the number of links to a site as a determining factor in the ranking of sites. Search engines consider that the more links to a site, the more value it has. Your website is not just a place to put your brochures in electronic form. It's not just an advertising medium. Websites have more in common with a telephone than they do with a brochure. Seek out as much interactivity as possible. Driving traffic to a website is done most successfully with a combination of online and traditional offline marketing. Your website should be an information resource for your prospects and customers. Find an expert to keep your site fresh and up to date, so you can concentrate your efforts on doing what you do best.
You're listening to Limelight America.
In the late 1980s, Joan Bayer started a part-time business called CRI, Concept Rehab Incorporated. CRI, a progressive therapy company dedicated to providing physical and occupational therapy, speech, language pathology, and psychology services to geriatric facilities, grew from 12 employees in 1990 to over 750 employees, serving hundreds of facilities in 6 states. A high priority is placed on building strong relationships within the company and with customers. We salute Joan Bayer, founder and president of CRI, and Ernst & Young Healthcare Entrepreneur of the Year. We'd like to take a moment to thank the National Association for the Self-Employed for their help in a national effort to encourage and support young dream warriors. The Future Entrepreneur of the Year Award is presented to a young man or woman who demonstrates leadership, academic excellence, ingenuity, and entrepreneurial spirit. Molly Pazant, who helped start her family's small aircraft tire business, received a $12,000 college scholarship. She was selected based on her academic record, the highest in the state of Alaska, and for her positive activities outside the classroom. Congratulations, Molly, and a 2 thumbs up to NASE. Now, Guerrilla Marketing in 30 Days, Online Marketing Part 2. Technology in marketing starts with 2 basic weapons, email and a website. Both should be treated as process-oriented marketing, not event-oriented weapons. Now that you have information on your site, it's time to apply marketing that does something with your site or with your customers to get them to visit. Visiting the site is only half the battle. Conversion from visitation to sales is the ultimate goal. Guerrillas operate within ethical parameters in all marketing, especially email. So don't send spam messages. For most small businesses, permission-based email marketing campaigns are the most memorable and cost-effective way to reach new and existing customers. Email marketing can be a tool for branding, direct response, and building customer relationships. It's cheap and easy to use, and almost everybody surfing the internet has an email address. Email marketing can also be used to keep in touch with customers, encourage customer loyalty, and further customer relationships. This can be done as a direct email message, an electronic newsletter, or an online ad. One difference between this contact and the print equivalent is that electronic mail must only be sent with permission. Another difference is that it can be interactive. By the way, your email signature should include your name, contact information, and website in order to drive interested prospects to you. Before blasting emails to your target world, do the following. Develop your campaign strategy. Develop content and copy. Make sure your list is targeted. Offer a marketing hook for a better response rate. Make sure you're reaching your target audience. Plan your measurement and track where your browsers come from. Follow up and plan subsequent emails. And last, have a follow-up system. Responsible email marketing is based on getting permission. This is an issue currently under legislative and ethical review. The general view is that you need an email recipient's permission before you can send them an email marketing your product or service. If you don't get this permission, then you are sending unsolicited email known as spam. Do not send spam. There are legal consequences for bulk spammers. Autoresponders are programs set up to automatically respond via email when triggered. Most are triggered by a blank email sent to the autoresponder email address. When someone sends an email to an autoresponder, the person receives an already prepared email message with the requested information. This happens automatically and almost instantaneously depending on the internet and email servers. Autoresponders are email on demand, making your information available to your prospects and customers 24/7. Now, here's a few things to offer in an autoresponder message. A free report, a top 10 list, an article, recipes, booklets, charts, and worksheets. Some autoresponder programs can be set up to send a series of emails back to a requester. E-courses are a good example of this. Autoresponders ensure consistent and frequent communication to touch prospects the sufficient number of times. An e-zine is an online newsletter. E-zines are increasingly common on the internet. Nearly all sites related to marketing offer them to their visitors. The number one reason people are online is because of the desire and need for information, which e-zines provide. An e-zine is a great mechanism to keep in touch with customers and prospects. E-zines that provide regular quality content of value to your readers will help them begin to trust your opinion and feel as if they know you. One of the most cost-effective ways to publicize and market your business is to use the many PR tools, methods, and opportunities that exist online. Online press releases are a great way for your authored content to spread without having to spend too much money. Several online press release sites will let you post your press release free of charge. Some of the more popular and user-friendly press release sites are prweb.com, pressbox.com, and webwire.com. Once press releases are written and distributed, posting them on a separate web page gives you more bang for your dollar. Another advantage of posting press releases on your site is that you can add hyperlinks for additional information. Streaming video and sound may also be added to enhance communication of your information. Because editors, web publishers, and site owners want fresh content, the writing and distribution of feature articles is another way to take advantage of the efficiencies of online PR. Type article submission in any search engine and you'll find additional choices. Forums are another name for online bulletin boards, online discussion boards, and online message boards. They enable users of a website to interact with each other by exchanging tips or posting conversation and information on the site. One good thing about forums is that they save information posted on particular topics for other people to see at any time. This promotes great discussion and interaction. Forums create online communities. People return to the forum site on a regular basis to keep abreast of the community topics. Participation in these discussions can make prospects aware of you and your business, as well as position you as an expert. Online marketing should be integrated with all other marketing activity. Your site should be connected with your company's offline, more traditional marketing efforts. Driving traffic to a site is done most successfully with a combination of online and traditional offline marketing.
You're listening to Limelight America.
I didn't want to be a big record mogul and all that stuff. I just wanted to write songs and make people laugh. Berry Gordy.
When Berry Gordy launched a small independent record label in 1959 in a two-story frame house on West Grand Boulevard in Detroit, he had no idea his dream of writing and producing his own music would spark a musical revolution. Throughout the 1950s and the early 1960s, the music industry was sharply divided along racial lines. Jazz, blues, R&B, soul, and other so-called black music was played solely on black radio stations. But Gordy would change all that. His unique style of music, which he dubbed the sound of young America, was the first to break the race barrier. In addition to gaining the national acceptance of black music and the well-deserved recognition of the singers and musicians behind it, Gordy's Motown sound gave birth to the largest and most successful black-owned business in America. Growing up on Detroit's Lower East Side, Gordy's two greatest loves were boxing and jazz. By the time he graduated from Northeastern High School in 1948, Gordy was ready to put boxing first. But after winning 15 Golden Gloves matches, his career was cut short when he was drafted to fight in the Korean War. After the war, Gordy was too old to continue in boxing, so he turned to his other love, opening a record store specializing in jazz. Unfortunately, Gordy had failed to notice that blacks in Detroit were not especially interested in jazz. They wanted to hear rock and roll. Gordy's 3D Record Mart went bankrupt after only 2 years. After this initial failure, Gordy reluctantly accepted a job at Ford Motor. But he wasn't about to give up his dream of a career in music. He began listening to rock and roll and wrote several songs in this new and upcoming style, which he tried to sell to local singers and music labels. He had some success, but his big break came when he attracted the attention of singer Jackie Wilson, who recorded Gordy's Riet Petite, and the now legendary Lonely Teardrops. Both songs became instant hits, and based on their success, Gordy quit his $85 a week job at Ford and struck out on his own as an independent producer. But even with 2 hit songs under his belt, Gordy was far from a financial success. As a writer, I had problems getting money at the time I needed it, he explains. I was broke even with hit records in certain cases. In one case, a New York publisher refused to pay Gordy. Advised that the cost of suing the publisher would be more than the royalties owed, Gordy chose to cut his losses. But the incident taught him an important lesson about the music business. If you have no control, you've got no power. To gain the control he needed, Gordy decided to start his own record company. Borrowing $800 from his family, he founded Hitsville, USA. That was in 1959. The first major hit for the fledgling label was Way Over There by William Smokey Robinson, a teenage singer Gordy had found performing on street corners. Under Gordy's guidance, Robinson and his group, The Miracles, quickly became a sensation, attracting other young black performers to the fledgling record company. Within 3 years, Gordy's stable of performers would grow to include a number of chart toppers, including Mary Wells, The Marvelettes, Marvin Gaye, The Contours, The Prime, whose name Gordy changed to The Temptations, and a 9-year-old blind boy named Stevie Morris, better known as Stevie Wonder. By 1960, Gordy had produced no fewer than 5 hit records and changed the name of his company to Motown, a contraction of Detroit's nickname, Motortown. Scouring the nightclubs and street corners of Detroit, Gordy found a virtually limitless supply of talented young black performers, including the Four Tops, Diana Ross and the Supremes, and Martha Vandella and the Spinners, all of whom he quickly signed to Motown. By 1966, 3 out of 4 Motown releases were chart-topping singles. The company was so successful that Gordy opened Tamla Motown Records in London. That was in 1965. The hits continued to pile up, and Motown would go on to dominate the pop charts throughout the 1960s. The 1970s brought a series of changes to Motown, and not all of them for the better. Gordy moved his operations from Detroit to the heart of the entertainment industry, Hollywood. Gordy branched out, establishing a motion picture division whose first film, Lady Sings the Blues, a biography of blues legend Billie Holiday starring Diana Ross, was both a commercial and critical success. Gordy also made plans to produce Broadway shows, television specials, and television movies. In 1973, Gordy resigned as president of Motown Records to head Motown Industries, a huge umbrella corporation overseeing all his enterprises. But as Gordy achieved success in his other ventures, Motown Records began to lose its grip on the pop charts. Most of the label's big stars left for other companies, and new talent seemed to lack that certain something Motown was famous for. The hits were not coming nearly as fast or as plentifully as they once did. In 1988, Gordy sold Motown to MCA and investment group Boston Ventures for $61 million. That same year, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Today, Gordy remains active in the entertainment industry, writing songs, producing records, and working with the newly established Motown Historical Museum in Detroit. In 2002, Gordy was clearly delighted by the news that Indiana University had created the first college course devoted to Motown. It was called, naturally, Motown, and Gordy donated 68 copies of his 1994 autobiography, To Be Loved, The Music, the Magic, the Memories of Motown.
Limelight America is produced by the LA Radio Network.